What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris and this is 4K Motoring. Behind me is our 2001 Corvette with a very minor update today. What we're going to be doing today is replacing the corner lights on this car that have become pretty oxidized. I have yet another bulb blown out. So what I found, and what you guys are probably familiar with, there are now several companies that make these. They are LED replacements. I did go for a smoked lens option. We'll see how that looks on the car, that have a scanning LED turn signal and just all LED bulbs. We're gonna go ahead and throw them in this car. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I'll show you how to do it. Hopefully it matches the rear of the car where we did our LED upgrades about a year ago. I'll link that video up above if you're curious. Now let's get to it. So to get this started, I want to go ahead and show you, I've already done the driver's side of this just to make sure I had everything correct to tell you. That way we're pretty efficient. Passenger side, I'll show you step by step how to do this replacement. It is going to be the same one side versus the other. When I removed my old housing here, my DRL housing, the front corner light, you can see how oxidized it is. It's actually split on top as well from inside the heat of the bulb over 20 some years. And the bulb itself, when I took it out, the one that just blew, kind of an interesting little design there. So we went ahead and replaced it. This is what the new corner light looks like. And honestly, I think that kind of matches pretty well with the black stripes, the overall black theme that I've got going on. I don't hate it. I think it would have looked fine doing the clear as well, not doing the smoked. Either way, I think works for the front of this car. You guys let me know what you think. I'll go ahead and turn them on. I'll let you see side by side from the stock one that's still on this side to the new one, what they look like and if it's worth getting for your car. So here is the driver's side that we've replaced. Even with the smoked housing, it still shows through pretty bright. We can see what the turn signal does. And with the turn signal off, this is what it looks like with parking lights on. Pretty good look, a pretty modern look, I think. Passenger side, stock housing. Definitely ages the car a bit here. See the old glass from the last bulb that exploded. And we can see that dim side lighting. And if we turn the turn signal off, that's what we're normally driving around with. Definitely a more modern look that complements the rear laser lights and rear halos. So let's go through step by step on how to do this. By no means do you have to jack the car up and remove the tire, but I'll tell you, it makes things a lot easier just to get your arm up into where it needs to get. Aside from that, I will tell you, my car, previous owner had removed the brake cooling ducts, so they're not in the way. You don't have to remove them if you have them in there, but it is easier without them, that is for sure. You're going to need a 7mm socket, usually just a small 1/4 inch drive will be fine with a little extension. And that should be all we need to take this light out and put it back. So let's get started. There's going to be, this one's missing a bolt right here, but there's going to be 2 bolts that we're going to take off right there. These are both 7mm heads. They're, I guess, screws more than bolts. 2 7mm there. And then right there, 1, 2, and 3, also 7mm. They're going to come out, and this whole panel, this whole inspection panel right here, will get removed. And we'll have full access to our housing, light housing right inside. This panel will drop down and out. We'll set that aside. There's our horns. And we can see our light housing right in there. Now this is probably the easiest access we have to it. And there's going to be a screw right here in the corner, a 7mm. We're going to take that one out there, and there's going to be 2 more screws, smaller 7mm. They're 7mm, just a little bit shorter, on the actual light housing itself. And then there's going to be a little retainer spring right here on top. It's kind of an interesting design that we're going to end up, you don't have to pull off, it just makes things easier. And that's all we need to pull this thing out. So let's go ahead and take that screw out, take these 2 out on the housing, and pull the spring off. Once we do that, this will just literally come straight out. For those of you curious how these light sockets come off, the main one here has a little press tab that you have to press, and then it's a counterclockwise twist, and that's the one that goes right here, our main running light turn signal. So it's got just a little breaker tab there to push in and twist counterclockwise. Our marker light just turns counterclockwise. There's no release to hit on that. Once we do that, we can literally just pull the bulbs straight out, and then our new sockets will stick right into there. The installation is going to be just the same as when you remove them, basically following the same steps. Once we have our housing here, on the bottom we do have our sockets. As we can see, this is just like the bulb we just took out of there, and that will plug directly into our socket. Make sure you can see the tabs in there. Make sure once you connect it, you push it down into the hole here and secure it just like you did with the factory ones. That way it's watertight, nothing gets in here. If you already have the HyperFlash adapter in behind the dash of the car inside, then in my experience, you don't need this resistor to be on there, the load resistor. If you don't have that, just to prevent the HyperFlash, this is where you plug in the load resistor that's included, and that just prevents the HyperFlashing from the LED turn signal. Everything else is direct plug and play. Let's go ahead and set it in. Once we thread it in through the bottom of the car, we're going to go ahead and connect our sockets while we still have this out kind of accessible. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to reach in there and do that. I know you guys out there are pretty smart and you don't need me to tell you this. Make sure you test it, make sure it works before you get everything buttoned up and have to take it all back apart again. Well guys, we hit a little bit of a snag, kind of unexpected, which on a 20-year-old car should be kind of expected, I guess. When I went to install the passenger side, I noticed that the 4157 socket only had 2 pins, even though it does the DRL and turn signal function. And obviously one being a ground, only having one other power option seemed a little bit odd to me. Obviously when we check out the bulbs, we notice there's double pins on each side. And it's one side is the ground and one side has the 2 poles for the different brightnesses, as I understand it. So I was not getting any DRL function. I was getting turn signal and I was getting running light, obviously from this one, but I was not getting the DRL because this was wired inappropriately. I called Amazon up. They're very easy to deal with. They're shipping me a new one. Should be here within 24 hours, so that's nice. But I wanted to get this done tonight. I'm not going to be able to. Alright guys, and just like that, we are done with the installation. We did get our replacements from Amazon pretty quickly, and they were wired correctly, so I think this is a one-off instance. Again, the quality control seems to be not exactly perfect on these, as evident by the wiring issue my original set had, but Amazon did make it right. Use this as a learning tool. Make sure you check those connections before you go ahead and do this install. Everything went back together exactly the way it came out, so if you guys remember the way you took the lights out, you just reverse the process, everything goes back together perfectly, and these lights just work. And again, I did not use the HyperFlash resistors that came with this kit because I already have the harness installed when I did the taillights. If you haven't done that yet, you may need to install those resistors. Just follow the instructions when you do that. So guys, the biggest thing I was a little concerned about was not that these wouldn't look more modern, because those old ones were super oxidized and just really outdated. They needed to be changed. I really didn't have a good frame of reference for what these smoked lights would look like versus the clear lights, and that was my biggest concern in getting this kit. I ended up with these smoked ones, and you guys tell me what you think about the car. I think it overall matches pretty well with the black stripes, black top, black spoiler, that sort of thing that I've done with it. Makes it look a little bit more modern. The one thing I will say is that the smoked housing does decrease some of the light output from that light just a little bit, that I would imagine the clear housing probably does not. But I'll put some video up here of this thing driving around just so you can get a feel for what it looks like, and you guys give me your thoughts down below. Shameless plug, guys, for those of you that enjoy the drone videos that I do here and the drone clips that I include in my videos, I did start a new channel, 4K aerial videos. I'm going to link that down below. If you wouldn't mind, check that out. If that's something you enjoy, please subscribe to that as well. Hope to bring you guys some more aerial content on that channel over there. As always, thanks for watching 4K Motoring. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. It does help us out here. If there's anything else you want to see about this car, any other updates or maintenance items, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to get on video for you guys. Other than that, stay tuned. We'll be back soon.